Awkward pause.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say you play the music.
It's coming.
There it is.
I feel like I always have to dance. The fadeaway. To peace. All right. Welcome to the locker room once again for this fine Friday afternoon or whatever day of the week you guys read it.
Exactly.
Or watch it. Not
whatever
read it, watch it.
That's what day it is. And
Yeah.
it's a fine day at that, regardless.
Yeah. So we want to do a big announcement before we get started here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Big announcement. But huge shout out to St. Lucia and Ghana.
Yeah.
St. Lucia, baby.
You know, we're on the charts out there.
We're on the charts. Top 7 in self-improvement podcasts in St. Lucia. Thank you, whoever's watching.
Yeah.
Let's hope you're not a scammer.
Hopefully. And if you are, scam some people into bringing us to St. Lucia.
Yeah. Get us them views, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't scam anybody. We're not promoting scamming. But I'm saying, if you want to do a live show, we'll do a live show in St. Lucia. That's fine.
We will.
Bring us out.
Like, beautiful weather in St. Lucia.
Yes.
Great old time. I feel like we should clarify. Okay, so a few days ago, we got kind of fully registered on everything, right? Spotify, Apple Music,
right.
Was it iHeartRadio? We're still going on YouTube. Pretty much all the platforms.
Yeah, anywhere where you get your
wherever you find your podcast.
You know, we're
That's what
probably there.
Yeah. We're hopefully there.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I didn't know this happened, but Apple Podcast does like a monthly rating thing. It sends you like a monthly rating update. And we got our first one. And St. Lucia and Ghana and Nigeria, we rank top 200, baby. Top 200, top 10 in St. Lucia. So I don't know what to do with that information. But
just keep watching. And bring us out, live shows. We love live shows. So
yeah. There we go. And not just in St. Lucia, like anyone,
anywhere.
Ideally, Canada. Ideally,
no, take me anywhere.
Okay, that's true. Bahamas, anywhere. Okay,
not have to stay here.
No. I was thinking like travel times and all this stuff, busy schedules, but okay, fine. Anywhere. Anyone's watching.
We'll make it work. Okay.
Thank you, the 2 people watching the podcast right now. Shout out to Nigeria and St. Lucia. Okay.
Exactly.
Anyways, other than that exciting news, once again, follow us, all that stuff. But we recorded this episode, or thought we recorded this episode already. So, and your lovely homeboy over here forgot to hit the record button, so that was
so here we are,
kind of awkward. So here we are, re-recording, but we're gonna talk about the same thing, but probably a little bit differently today. I don't know. It might feel differently.
I don't know.
It will most definitely be differently. Everything we say is on the cuff, so it's gonna be different.
Yeah, there's no way it's gonna come out the same, but
no.
Feelings behind it will be the same. The point will be the same.
Oh, yeah.
The emphasis, I'm pretty sure, will be the same.
The important parts.
Exactly.
Probably. Let's hope so. Okay, so what our talk was, and is going to be today, is a little bit of a vulnerable conversation for myself, right? We're kind of moving into the deeper end of the locker room now, where we gave you guys the information of what vulnerability means, what strength means, but some kind of personal life stuff that I want to talk about, that Nos wants to talk about, that kind of men and people should be talking about, right?
Right.
And yeah. And for today, I wanted to pose something that I struggle with and that I want to have a discussion on is our vulnerability on asking for help. Right. For myself, it's something I struggle a lot with. Right. I really don't ask for help, even when I'm drowning. It's not
Right.
not the smartest decision, you know. Um, but it's so ingrained in myself that I have to do things by myself. That honestly, it gets me into some troublesome water sometimes, of course. But I want to pose this question and talk about why help is important for both men, women, just mental health in general, right?
Okay.
Yeah, there we
That
go.
the question. All right. Well,
That was the question. So go ahead and
why it's
ask.
important? All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So do you struggle with asking for help as well?
yeah. I mean, of course. I try to. I like to think that I struggle a lot less than I used to, but I mean, I'm still. I started at a place at such a deficit that even an improvement is still, still working my way up. But being aware of it, I always say, is the first step, right? I'm aware of it. I try to make other people aware of it. And to people that I trust call me out on it because it's hard to get through it. I know even with asking for help, I was talking about this the other day. Like I'll have ways that I'll kind of imply help,
Mhm.
but I don't fully just come out and say, "Can you help me with this?" Right?
And I
Um,
feel the same way. There's always like that boundary before we can actually be vulnerable on the topic, right? It's
yeah,
always like I'm gonna say this, and I hope someone hears me,
right,
and
right,
that's my expectation on from other people. But that's not the reality of the situation. You know, most
exactly.
people don't understand, or actually, everyone doesn't understand what you're thinking, what you've been through, your thought
No,
process. But it's
it,
an assumption that kind of leads you to failure. Honestly,
it does. All right, and it's a difficult thing. Like I said, my background, same thing. I have been told so from my father and his thing. It's like it doesn't count if you don't do it alone. If you didn't do it by
Mhm.
yourself, if you had to have help, it's almost it just it doesn't count. It doesn't check the boxes. It has to be you. And I didn't hear anything different. Really, somebody really push a different narrative, and really made open my eyes. Like I said, they just kind of told me it was stupid. It was a mentor later in life, and they were just like, "Yeah, that's dumb. Nobody succeeds on their own." It's like if I had to do
No.
everything on my own, I'd be nowhere near as successful as you see me. And
Yep.
nobody else who's successful does anything on their own. As a matter of fact, the intelligence and the intelligence they have or the genius in them is that they realize that they need a team and they need help and they're not going to be able to do it all on their own. And that they with that knowledge, they build a team of people who are capable around them. So and they manage basically they manage people rather than trying to do it all, which is, great in theory. Execution, still working on it, still loading. Um,
Execution still loading, you know. still
exactly.
still processing on the computer.
you know, but it's a hard thing, man. It is. It's a difficult thing. It's difficult to step out, and like I said, it's seen as a weakness. Um,
Mhm.
Again, that's another level because when we talk about vulnerability being a strength, not a weakness, um, vulnerability has a lot of faces, right? Takes a lot of different forms. Um, and we may share little things and of hurts that we've gone through or pains that we've gone through, and that's seen as being vulnerable. But then maybe good at that. I can do that more often. I could actually do that a lot easier than it is to say I'm going through something right now and I need help. That's
Yep.
harder,
Yep.
you know?
Right. It's that step further down that line, right?
Yeah.
We have a always this natural cap that happens, right? When we talk about a vulnerable subject. For some people, it might be the most vulnerable thing in the world, right? Just talking about, oh, I'm feeling sad today, right?
Yeah.
That might be already a really vulnerable topic. But for someone like you or myself or someone who has maybe a little bit of a deeper step into that pool, right, of vulnerability, that's not even touching surface level.
Right. Right.
Everyone has a different attenuation, different level at which their cap is, right? Where that threshold is, where they're comfortable and it's still a safe ground and safe space to ask or even to be or to survive. But being vulnerable to yourself, being vulnerable to other people is when you take that next step in, when you dip your toe into the hot water, per se,
Right.
right? When it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. We're
Exactly.
not telling you to like full like Scarface dive into the pool of of vulnerability, but
Right.
it takes that little dip into the deep end, into kind of that uncomfy space where we don't know if we're gonna be safe or not, right?
Right.
To understand like, hey, I am allowing a piece of myself that's maybe struggling or maybe is doing good or is just looking for some guidance. That part that's held so insecurely to open up a little bit, right?
Right.
Takes a crack in order to create a whole mind per se.
Right.
But just to kind of think about what you were saying about like how it builds on, right? And how
Mm.
like for us to grow and to become proper human beings, right? I remember taking a class it's called human behavioral ecology, right? The study
Yeah.
of how humanity has become who we are by the actions and thought processes and how that has been affected by the environment around us, right? The biggest takeaway from the class is the reason why we are able to become who we are now is because it's a ratchet effect, right?
Mhm.
One generation builds onto the other, builds onto the other, builds on the other, builds on the other, right? Until we have things like this handy computer that we're
Right.
recording on or this microphone, right? Or things like how to process emotions, because emotions are innate. They are in every single animal creature on this planet. But it's our ability to kind of dive deeper and connect with those emotions to build us to where we are now.
Right.
And that asking for help is almost like a bypass on the effort that it needs to take in order to break down your emotional processing.
Right. Yeah.
I can, instead of me needing to cry or look angry or sad or whatever, and then you need to process it, right? I can just be like, I'm struggling. I need help with this situation.
Exactly.
And honestly, it wasn't until that class that I had kind of that realization, right? Um, Kind of growing up on my side, right, is
Mm.
uh, very kind of not a very traditional Asian household, to be honest. My parents are pretty open minded, easygoing. They got us to choose whatever career path we wanted, to be who we want, to do whatever we want, right?
Right.
But I was always watching my dad, and honestly, one of my biggest role models. He is this kind of figure of he can do anything. It's crazy. He still can do anything.
Mhm.
Retired, but like literally builds random sheds and fixes cars and just does everything, right? But there was a kind of hard day I had, and me and him kind of just sat there, and he had a moment where he's like, "Jason, I'm struggling, right? And I just need to talk, right?" And first time ever, it's never really happens, right? Um, I was like, "Okay, so what's going on, Dad?" And he's like, "I am unsure of how to almost like keep up with you kids, like I've two older brothers, right? Keep up with
Mhm.
you kids in this world, right? Where I'm aging, you guys are just becoming new into this life, and my role has shifted, right? And it's become more of a mentorship role, but like my abilities aren't the same as it was, right? And I was like,
Right.
he is asking for help.
Mhm.
I was like, holy shit. Like,
Right.
what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Right? In my head,
Right.
literally screaming. But then I was thinking back to my childhood, and I was like, my dad, this figure, could fucking poke a Capri Sun with one hand, not even looking,
Yeah.
right? And could build anything, could do whatever. He didn't get these skills all by himself.
Right.
That was all in my head. I thought he could just do this out of the womb, pretty much.
Right.
He could just be this guy who could build things, could do everything. we had another talk, and he was like, "Yeah, Jason, like this, I didn't just get these skills. Like I learned them from my friends and family and people around me that showed me the way. And the way I did that was I asked them for help first.
Right.
And truthfully never saw my dad ask for help once. Like I just thought he just did everything on his own. And sometimes his friends would just appear out of the ether to just get a few
Just
drinks and do whatever, right? It never clued in. And I think myself thinking that my role model needed to be this solitary lone wolf, right? That put me on a pretty negative trajectory on how I can be vulnerable or access that vulnerability, to be honest.
right.
But after the talk, my dad being like, Jason, it's okay to ask for help. Like, it's not weakness, right? And this was a really recent conversation where he was like, asking for help isn't weakness, Jason. It's a sign that you're connected and have people in your corner, right?
Right.
That you can rely on and that can almost build your house. And we talked about the house analogy before
Yep.
of um, us
A
as a
house.
masculine figure, the house, right?
Hmm.
But as us as the masculine figure in our families, our friend groups, or whatever it may be, we are protectors and guiders and sages and seekers of knowledge, or whatever it may be, right? But we are a house at the end of the day that shields people from the environment around them, their
Right.
misfortunes and whatever it may be. But with wear and tear, the house slowly breaks down. And we need people to hold up those trusses to temporarily even just put a hand on a support beam so that we can repair and build that house. We need to be
Exactly.
vulnerable.
Yep.
But the only way is to ask people for help. Right?
Right. And that's the thing,
Like,
right?
yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, that's the thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my experience is different,
Mm-hmm.
but got me to
Like,
the similar
vastly.
place.
This this is where this is where our history kind of diverges.
Yeah.
If you guys will know.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, yeah. But say my relationship with my dad was very different. I did
Ooh,
see
yeah.
him early, as a
Mm-hmm.
hero figure, as a hero figure in my life, like any son would.
Yeah.
But he just was not as supportive. So most of my idea of having to do it on my own kind of came from him, just because he never connected with anybody enough to be vulnerable at all. And then also because any chance that anybody else would have come in and helped me do anything, he kept us isolated. So
Yeah.
he didn't want anybody to help support or help me get better or improve at anything unless it was him. But then he wouldn't do it either. So it was just like, it was just by default, you had to do it on your own. So, and then part of that conditioning was also the idea, this process, well, it doesn't count if you don't do it on your own. If they have to help you, it's like, oh, so then it's like, well, I have to build something or anything that I have to do or try to improve or try to succeed at. It has to be without the assistance of anybody else, or else, oh, well, they helped you do it. So it don't matter. Oh, okay, well, you know, well, you take on the challenge, right? And because of that, you go and also because of that lack of vulnerability, or that modeled lack of vulnerability, you don't open up enough to even get to that point where you'll ask somebody else, how do I do this? How to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And the person that you do ask isn't there to respond, right? They're not there to support you in that. So then it's like, all right,
No,
well,
no one bit.
you're not gonna tell me anything. So you're kind of left. And for me, growing up is like you're kind of left to figure it out on your own. And then there's a lack of trust. I don't trust anybody else this. And then it's all these things. So I have to, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it by myself. I can't ask anybody else. And again, to go back to that house analogy, is that idea that now I want to be a house that's strong enough to support everybody around me, that's enough to support and protect everybody around me, but that can take all comers, can take anything or any damage brought to me, and I'll be okay. The reality is far from that. It's not going to be that, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, I need to be open enough and vulnerable enough to show these the damage that I've taken, so that other people can help and help repair that damage, right? Or like you said, hold up for a little bit, let me relax for a little bit, because you can only take so much, and
Mhm.
you can only do so much on your own. I tried to figure out a lot on my own. It wasn't until I started to let other people in that, and like I said, in reality, no matter how much I thought I was doing on my own anyway, there's always
Oh,
somebody
there's
that supported in some
everyone
way.
is helping
There's
you, right?
always. The only problem is you just don't, when you're stuck in that mindset, you're just not acknowledging it, which is
No.
then damaging in itself, right? Because now you're not acknowledging the people who have supported you, which
Well, like
then
a
becomes
good way,
annoying.
almost like to bring it back to the house analogy again. It's like
Mm,
if you don't let people help you repair that roof, eventually all that environment, like that rain, that thunder, that storm, all that, it
mm,
cracks that foundation. And that foundational crack breaks all the roots that you've built before, right?
mm-hmm.
Including the flooring that the people are trying to help you are standing on as well.
Exactly.
Right? And you can't start building on a cracked foundation, right? It's impossible.
Right. And I feel like as men, we all sit around and this idea that we want people to help us without actually having to say anything, right? We want people to see that, okay, like, can't you see? We have this idea internally, I believe, and, not always, but I feel like we have this idea internally that we're this house holding up everything, trying to be supportive of all the things, trying to be protective of everything. And then we have a crack, and it's like, ideal is like this crack is happening. I want you to
Mhm.
see the crack. I'm going to hide it as best as I can, but you
Yep.
should be close enough to see it anyway so you could do something
Right.
about it. And if you don't,
It's
then nobody cares about me. Right.
100%.
And it's this weird dynamic that we kind of perpetuate all the time. And it's like, how do we expect that help? And I see it all the time. Even like, you go online, you go through these things, you see people talking about nobody cares about us, nobody cares. Well, what are we doing? Are we sharing? Are we really saying what bothers us?
Yep.
Are we allowing people to see it and allowing those people who will do something about it the chance and the opportunity to step up and do something about it? Or are we just, like I said, hiding that crack under the rug or behind this picture or painting over it and then hoping that somebody with x-ray vision just comes and sees it anyway? Right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
100%. Like
But
the way I
guilty.
see it is like this. True. Like I'm the same boat. I feel
Like,
so called out right now. I'm just like, who can I ask for help right now?
right? Like, but it is what
But
it
like
is,
when
though.
you look at it, like especially how social media presents men right now, right? Of you
Mm-hmm.
need to be this like stoic action hero, John Wick, like I feel no pain. I
Right.
am a man. Like that whole thing. Ignore that voice I just made.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, I know. It was a lot.
Mm,
But that whole idea of you need to become almost like a statue, like a Roman statue
right.
of like of I don't know, Saturn or whatever, or even like the Greek statue of Ares, right? Of this
Hmm.
immortal being. But statues crack.
Yeah.
And you can't truly repair a cracked statue. The crack will always be there.
Right.
But
Right.
if we act human, lead with our emotions, and take one step to just be like, hey, I'm struggling maybe with how people are perceiving me
Hmm.
because I don't know how to process my emotions. So, how can you help me with this? Right?
Right.
Humans heal from our wounds. It might leave a little bit of a scar, right? But those scars fade away over time, little by little, right? But at the end of the day, there's that wound seals up. It gets filled up.
Right. And looking at it, like I said, recently, and having flipped that dynamic, because now,
Hmm.
newborn son, all that stuff, and now it's like this importance that I want to flip, that I want to make sure that I exemplify and show that I know how he's going to look at me, because I know how I looked
Hmm.
at my father, regardless of whether I should have or whether it made sense or whether he was doing right or wrong. It didn't matter. I know how I looked at him, right? I know how I saw him. And I know he's going to look at me that way. And I want him, and I want it to be shown, and I want to exemplify that idea that yes, I may seem like Superman and a superhero to you and vulnerable or whatever, but I want to know that to make sure that it's known and taught that I am strong not because I'm invincible, but I'm strong because I'm vulnerable. I know it and I accept it. And even though I'm vulnerable, I still take chances. I still put myself out there and I still take steps to um, push forward, right? Because that's what I mean, it's easy to it's easy to conquer the world if you can't be hurt, you
Yeah.
know? But the people who do, that's where true strength comes from is when you know you can be, it's scary because you can be hurt, yet you do it anyway and you do it every day. And that's true strength. That's actual strength, right? That's actual leadership. And that's the actual thing that I want him to see. So I know that's automatic. It's going to come. I'm Superman to him. I'm going to be invincible. I'm going to be everything. But I just want him to know also that the real strength comes from the fact that even though you know you can be hurt.
Hey, so my internet crashed.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of a doozy. I, I, you probably heard what Nas said. He
Uh,
gave me just notes of what happened. Um, but yeah, vulnerability is key for leadership.
it's key for
Feels like
leadership, for growth.
it's key.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For creating it's for what we really need. I mean, ultimately, right? Like, in order to even
mm,
empower the people around us, it takes for somebody to lead with some vulnerability, whether it's asking for help or anything like that. And people say, leadership, true leadership. We want to be leaders of our house and of the people around us and of our communities. And how can you lead if you don't put people in a position to be empowered, to be able
yeah,
to apply their own skill set and to work towards the greater good as a whole. And that's what the point is. And you can't do that if you don't employ that. You can't employ that if you don't ask for it.
mm,
And a better way to ask for it is for somebody to support something they believe in, you, or a person they believe in, which is you. You know, we're surrounded by people who have skill sets, who have and that's what people are brought into our lives for a reason. I feel like it is not just to see it pass by every day. You know, they have the ability to help us. Somewhere there's somebody around that has ability to help us with things that we're going through. And um, it takes a willingness to be open to that, to ask for it, but also a willingness for those people to share it. But when you start, like we always say before, when you start with that vulnerability, when you open that gate, a lot of people will step through, you know,
100%.
and whew, just got to open it. Just got to open it.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is like asking is step one, right? Like
Mm.
asking for help. And even though I struggle to fucking shit about asking, that was a lot of swears in a row, by the way. That was a lot,
Struggle to fucking
but
shit.
struggle to fucking shit. Um, but like, even though that's like one of my biggest struggles as a person, as someone who's trying to become a more vulnerable self, right? I kind of always fall back into this hard feedback loop where it's just like my my past self, right? The one that thinks of this lone wolf person as this solitary leader,
Hmm.
as the pinnacle of success, right? There's always this like internal conflict that's there, right? Of my previous perceptions versus my now perceptions. And to navigate that conversation, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's super, super hard. Like I understand now that help is needed, right? But once in a while, that other Jason, the old
Mm.
Jason, starts talking and he says that don't ask for help, right?
Yeah.
You don't need it. You'll be weaker because of it.
Yeah. Don't be weak.
And I
Don't be a
think
little.
it's something. Yeah, don't be a little bitch.
Don't be a little
Why
bitch.
is
Suck
that
it
the
up.
one that we censored? Yeah.
and I said, and I said,
Yeah.
yeah,
We literally just listed off all the swears on the line in this first 30 minutes.
yeah.
And then bitch is the one that we censored.
A little bitch,
Yeah, there you
but
go.
yeah, it's hard, right?
But yeah,
And I,
it's hard. But oh, what I was gonna say is like it
oh
was
yeah,
quite
continue.
interesting though, just listening. Thank you. Uh, but just kind of listening to, I guess, your reference point for the growth of this almost hardship of asking for help, right?
Hmm.
Versus my growth into this hardship of asking for help, right?
Right.
And it's almost two different things, right? The intrinsic, the internal pressures versus the external pressures, right?
Hmm.
What we're processing versus what the world processes and gives towards us, right? And where that conflict lies between the two. Right?
Right.
Like I can probably say that very rarely has someone actually told me not to ask for help.
Oh.
Like my family, my role models, like there's a handful, there's for sure. They're
Hmm.
there, but a lot of that came down to me trying to process information by not asking for help, to be honest.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas we can see that pressure from the external world, your father, and just media presence alone putting you in a position that help is a weakness, right?
Hmm. Definitely.
And on both fronts, it's this vicious feedback on both sides, right? So how do we change that narrative, right? How do we, first of all, have an effect on the people around us? And as you said, as a new father, of trying to build those roots to create the next generation of men and masculine figures who don't have to be afraid of asking for help.
Right.
How can we magnify that ratcheting effect that we talked about at the start, right? And grow it into something that causes leaps and bounds instead of tiptoeing through hardship and isolation,
Right.
right?
I mean, I always say, the first step is always self, right? You got to be an example of
Hmm.
what of the idea that you want. And I think the perfect example, the perfect starting place, for lack of a better word, is actually to be comfortable in the imperfection, right? At the end of the day, there's this idea and this that, oh, to be a man, like you said, you have to check every box and be perfect. The moment you miss a spot or you miss here, oh, that's it. There you go. You done fucked up, right? And no, you're going to be imperfect. Actually, embracing the fact that you're imperfect, because the more imperfections that you embrace, the more you can do to correct it, right? Or to, again,
Yep.
that leaves the opening for asking for help, man. Like, you know, uh, one of the biggest things that, and this was hard for me. This is actually, all right. So a
It's
step
okay.
that's actually what got me to the mentor who told me it was stupid to ask for help, was asking for
Okay.
help, because I felt like, for me, I kept hitting a brick wall. Not a brick wall. Well, yeah, it was a brick wall. I kept hitting a wall. Like, I would find success and it would always like go up, and it just seemed to hit a ceiling. Like, and I just couldn't get over the hump, right? And it would be highs, really good highs, but still not quite over the hump to continuous success in different areas or whatever I tried. But I'd get up there, I'd get high. So I was like, I'm getting frustrated. I got, um career now, like and I'm trying to do this correctly, and I want to be in a position certain ways in my life. I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to kind of have my own time. I want to be able to do my own thing. Um and I couldn't sustain it the way I wanted to. So the biggest thing was, I found somebody who checked all those boxes. It was a guy
Yep.
who I had met before through my uncle, and he kind of checked all those boxes. He was there for his family. He was successful. He was an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, but also it wasn't like, oh, I dedicate all my time to making money, I don't have time. He was also a family person. No, he's there for his family, cared about us, was able to go on trips, all that stuff. I was like, that's kind of what I want. So I had to swallow my pride, because most of the time, I'd just be like, man, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out on my own. This is one time, I don't know what got into me, but I sent him a message. It's like, look, I met you one time before. I'd like to figure out how to get things started. I'd like to talk, if we can, have a conversation, kind of talk, sit down, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going into all the details, but I reached out to him. Like, I need help. Like I need help trying to sustain this thing. And he he answered. He actually answered and was like, "Did you talk to your uncle?" And it's like, no, because apparently my uncle had talked to him at some time. And he was like,
Oh, really?
yeah, and this he actually does classes. I was like, so you don't know I do classes? I was like, where he kind of teaches this stuff. It's like, I have no clue. I have no clue what you're doing. I met you one time. You were somebody in my life. So anyway, he embraced it, took me at it, and to this day, I kind of talk to him on a regular basis. And actually, when I know I'm in a bad place where I'm at my place where I'm like on my own, I regress a little bit. I actually stop talking
Hmm.
to him, and he knows that, so he'll call me or he'll
Oh, really?
contact me more. Oh yeah, oh yeah. If I haven't heard from him in a while, I'm like, yeah, yeah, get your head out your ass. What you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, cause and be like, you know it. And I was like, I know it. He'll tell me, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Get it together. But so it's always a struggle, but because that's my instant reflex. I have to be aware of it, but my reflex is
Hmm.
to kind of pull back and figure like initially automatically I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out on my own, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
But he got me a lot more comfortable with asking for help and talking to him in a way. And like it's night and day once you do ask. And that's the thing I want people to realize. And I'm probably getting away from the answer to this question, but the experience of asking and having people who have gone through things ahead of like this is so much easier. There's so many problems that I was like, man, this keeps happening and I don't know this and I'm not sure exactly what to do here. Or this problem pops up and he's just like, yeah, and to us, we're going through it. It's the end of the world. Like, I gotta figure this out. He's like, no, this is gonna happen. You're gonna run into this. And then once you get past this, you're gonna run into this. It's going to happen. Talk through it,
Mhm.
figure it out. Like it's not a failure or so much on your part. It's just growing pains. It is what it is.
Yep.
And having people that you can talk to and experience though and have those answers from and just kind of rely on in that and having a group of people that you can do that. So that's a big thing too. Groups
Hmm.
like we kind of did, I feel like is an answer to
And
having companion, huh?
I know I was gonna say that was a good segue.
Yeah.
That was a great segue.
you know, having a group where you're able to talk in amongst men and able to share openly, which is why we started the locker room in the first place.
Exactly. Well, we
Anyway,
should tell people here is so the
go
locker
ahead.
room started. I got you. I got it. Tag out, tap out. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
this. Okay. So the locker room originally started with me and Nos kind of doing our usual hour-long chit chats about men and the world we're in, but we also wanted to kind of start talking about how we could make our space that we work at, that we live at pretty much a more beneficial place for men and how they think and how they process, right? So we create the locker room to be the space where a bunch of guys just sit down and we talk about things in our lives, right?
All right.
Nothing doesn't have to be like world altering or um massive hardcore discussions, but just about some things that men go through.
Exactly.
Some small things, some large things, right? And we will still be running those,
Yes.
you know. Yeah,
Yes, we
yeah.
will. Coming back.
Um, coming back. But the big thing is that the isolation of the idea of manhood, of you need to be your own rock, that you need to be your own island,
hmm
right? The
Right.
world globalized for a reason, right?
right. Right.
Like we had to diversify and all become connected because that's how we grow, right? And it's exactly what kind of Nas said is just like if you think that every single struggle that you're going through is an isolated event that's only happened to you, that is freaking exhausting.
Exactly.
It is gonna be like pushing was it Sisyphean rock up the hill,
Right.
right? Each and every time. But if you think about the people around you who probably have gone through the same situations, who have, right? Even if it's a mentor model or even your friend group or
Mm-hmm.
family around you, right? Those people have been through it or are going through it. So if you can combine force, right, that one boulder ends up getting split between two people, between three people, between four people, and eventually you have enough hands and force to push this rock up the hill.
Exactly. Like, I mean, ultimately, like, if we look at it, like, people, we and as individuals, as men, we have goals. We have things we want to achieve. We have things we want to accomplish in life. It's difficult enough as it is. We probably have high hopes, high dreams, like big dreams, right? And that's difficult enough as it is. Doable, but it's going to be difficult. There's going to be challenge to it, right?
Yep.
Now, imagine, and this is what we do metaphorically, if my hope was, all right, I want to get to Vancouver. That's my big dream,
Yeah.
right? Now,
You've been to Vancouver?
no, I haven't.
Oh, you should
I,
go sometime. It's
I
really
know.
nice live
I've
there.
been everywhere
Yeah.
east to here, but I
Yep.
just haven't been
Okay.
past this furthest west in Canada that I've been, right? So
Okay. Okay.
let's say, I'm just saying,
Maybe we'll
big
plan a
dream.
trip to Vancouver sometime.
We
You know?
should.
Okay.
We should.
Yeah, we should.
But I'm saying,
Locker room in Vancouver. Sorry.
yes. But hypothetically speaking,
Yeah.
let's say that's
Yeah.
my big dream. I want to get to Vancouver, right? Now, imagine if I said, but I'm not going to look at any maps. If I use a car, I have to literally reinvent the wheel and build it from the ground up first.
Yep.
And I'm not going to ask anybody who's been there. I'm not
Ross
gonna,
is
yeah,
chipping away
exactly.
at granite to form like an old time Flintstone wheel.
I was like experimenting on how to get this wheel together. And one
Yep.
day I'm going to make it to Vancouver though, right? Like I'm going to get there. I'm not going to ask anybody. I'm not going to look at any maps. I'm not going to look it up online. I'm not going to do any research. I'm not even going to borrow a car. If I use a car, I got
You
to
got to
rebuild it my
create
own.
your own
I could
map,
create
you
every
know.
part of it, right?
Yep.
And that's like what we do. I'm not even going to use the roads. I'm going to go through the woods. I got to figure it out. Like that's what we do when we decide we have to do it all ourselves as men, right? There's so many, like there's billions of men, of people on this planet, and that's not count that are currently on this planet. Not even counting the ones who've been here before. There's so much knowledge that is just there that we bypass because we decide from the ground up we got to do it ourselves. And that's kind of, as stupid as that metaphor sounds, I don't like to call anything stupid, but that's how stupid we
I think
are.
that was a
You
I
know,
think that was a beautiful metaphor
but
about how stupid we are.
that's what I'm saying, like how stupid we
That's a
are when we do that.
perfectly beautiful stupid metaphor, you know.
And that's what it is. And that's why, ideally, the mentor, when I had, that's why he said, that's exactly what he told me. It's stupid. It's dumb. There's so much knowledge that we can step, like you said, we build on the knowledge of those before us, of those who build before us. We build on top of that. And it's almost disrespectful to say, fuck that. I'm starting from the bottom. Like all that
Yep.
stuff you built before, nah. Because regardless, you can't even get to the bottom because just of where we are now, you can't even get to that point. So you're either going to destroy everything that was there or just acknowledge the start that or not acknowledge the start that you've had already, which is again disrespectful. Like there's so much, why would we make it more difficult to get where we want to go, to learn what we want to learn? And, yeah, logically it's clear. I know innately that we do it anyway, but when we do it, that's how stupid it
Well,
looks.
I think this is a massive separation between our logic and reasoning brain versus what the fuck we actually do.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like there's a massive separation between the two sides, right? The two entities of our brain, right? The emotional side versus the logical side, right? I know some people say left brain, right brain. I don't like that saying, but
Mhm.
just like the emotional and the intellectual side, right?
Yeah,
That one that wants to unify and become one thought process, but realistically, our brains are always kind of like a Venn diagram, always
right.
slightly separated, right? And usually, the emotional side drives you into really good directions and
Mhm.
builds connections. But also, if it's had a chip in the foundation, if it's had some kind of malformed thought process or some trauma or anything like that, it can be a steep hill to climb.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is where we talk about the perceptions and reality of your situation, right? And how we can meld those things together, your emotions and your reason, right? How we can meld all those things together.
Exactly. Because both sides are needed. They're both necessary in order to be the men we want to be.
Yep.
As much as we try to think or decide that we don't need that part of us, it's not true. We need the emotional side 100%. We need that vulnerable
Yep.
side in order to be seen. And that's the irony of it all. That's why I laugh at it, even myself or everybody else. Like, the irony of it all is that leader, that idea, that strong being and leader that we see ourselves being is on the other side of that vulnerability, of that ability to ask for help, of that part that we neglect. It's literally through that door. And we say,
Yep.
no, 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 I want all these things, but I don't want to go through that door. But I want everything on the other side. But I don't want to go through that door though. So if there's any
Yeah.
way,
I'll make my own door.
yeah,
Get me the wood.
you
Get me the
know,
metal. I'll smelt my own handles, you
exactly,
know?
right? And like, I'm gonna find a way to go around
Yeah.
everything to get to this idea that I think is going to be, and it's impossible because every figure that we look up to in that way has vulnerabilities and has gone through that at some point. We just choose to ignore it, or we just don't see it, you know? But they all do it. So fuck that. Fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Stop that shit.
So
Feel like a man. Feel.
feel like a man.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Feel like a man, be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable.
I think that's, yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Why was that kind of a good
I
tagline
think
there?
so.
Okay.
Feel like, you
I
know.
think so.
But that's the idea, man. That's what we need.
But yeah, really, like realistically, that's what it is. And like the way I see it is when we're looking at conflict and where we are in the world, we've talked about conflict before here, is like asking for help. It's the same thing as when you talk about aggression as
Mm-hmm.
well from before, is that conflict is 95% of the time internal.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one really would say no for asking for help about something, right? There's no external conflict that usually occurs. Sometimes there are. I'm
I
not going to
mean,
say all
yeah.
100% of the time. Yeah. But the bigger and more present and more consuming conflict is that internal, right? Of the pressure that you put on yourself to try to carry the burden on your own.
Right. That's what I meant. I thought of it. There's a talk. It's funny because on YouTube, I can't remember what it is. Fuck. There's this person. I can't even remember their guy. I can't, but I remember the concept. The idea is they would go around different talks and they would say, I could solve any problem. They would just call anybody on the line. We said, we can solve it in this room. All you have to do is say what the problem is and ask, right? It can be anything. Like, it'd be like, I have a birthday party in 2 months and I want, or an orangutan at the party. And he'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, all right, so we'll go through this process. Anybody, a zookeeper or something like that. And they'll just go through and then somebody will raise their hand. Okay, you. Like, anybody know anybody this?
Yep.
And they solve the problem with that question. And his whole purpose is, if we're like, any problem that you have or any issue or any step that you want to take or any way to get from point A to point B that you can think of can be solved if you're willing to get out of that internal conflict that you have, out of your brain, out of your head, and
Mm-hmm.
just willing to step out and ask. Just
Yep.
continue to ask people. You will find somebody who will connect the dots. And you will be able to connect the dots to solve any issue that you have. If you're willing, like you said, to get out of your head, get out of that internal conflict, and just put yourself out there and ask about it.
Yep.
And I can't remember. I wish I could.
The
I would give the credit, but I can't remember any of it right now.
well, if we get copyright struck, blaming you, not
It was vague. It was vague enough. It could be anybody.
that's
But
true. That's true. Yeah, the dollar store version of whatever YouTube video that was.
I'll find it. I'll try to find it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I think a good way to sum up our whole discussion, our whole conversation today is that the fear and hardship of not asking for help, it's
Stops you from
combatant.
being a
It's
man. No, I'm just playing.
yeah,
Sorry.
there we go. That's the one. But that's pretty much what I was gonna say. But I lost my train of thought.
All right,
That
my
was good.
bad. My bad.
No, that was good. Oh yeah, I think I got back. So the combatant and the one that you should corner yourself with, right? The side that you should take in order to help you step out of this hardship of not asking for help is vocalizing your vulnerability. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's step two, right? Step one is identifying your vulnerability,
Yeah.
finding your imperfections, and realizing that they are you, that those imperfections sometimes are your character traits,
Right.
right? Or are things that you need to work on, right?
But even if
But at the
there's
same
things you need to
time,
work on, if you, like you said, if you
yeah,
identify it, then you can address
yep,
it, and then you can
100%.
build up the skill set or whatever you need. That something that might need improvement, then you can improve it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yep, that's step two, right?
Yes.
Is the vocalization of your vulnerability.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
usually we'll sum this up and say, let's talk about it, but let's vocalize a little bit of that vulnerability, right?
Yeah. Make.
Express something in your life that is a hardship of yours or that you struggle with a little
Yes.
bit, right? So that someone can help you down the line and fertilize your soil and fertilize and repair your foundation so you can build it up a little bit stronger.
And I promise you, if you do that and make that a habit in your life, it will either expose relationships that aren't really good, healthy relationships in your life,
Oh
or
yeah.
make relationships that you thought were close even closer because you're willing to do
Yes.
that on a regular basis. And you'll be surprised how close you'll actually get to people.
And how fast it will be.
Yes.
Truthfully.
Super fast.
Yep.
Even some of the people that you believe, trust me, I believe if you are not sharing this thing as being vulnerable on a regular basis, I'm not saying across the board, but on a regular basis, being as vulnerable as you can be, especially with people that might be significant others or you feel you already have a close relationship to, the moment you're willing to step out that door or step through that door and be vulnerable and find that that person is able to be supportive of you, 10
Mhm.
times better. The relationship would be 10 times better immediately,
Oh, 100%.
you know?
Right? I mean, we hear the conversation all the time is the why is my love life dying or whatnot because I haven't been vulnerable or not even that. It's like the spark fizzles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I hate the term the spark fizzles mostly because it's not necessarily that the spark fizzles, is that drive to look for a more vulnerable self. People get complacent,
Yeah.
right? Complacency is the killer of relationships and about of self growth.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
always strive for that next step down.
Exactly.
Whoa, that was deep. That was way deeper than I thought it was gonna be. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like that was a lot.
It's good.
But
Always
it's good.
strive. Yes.
Good.
There you go.
No,
All right.
there you go.
So those are the
Okay.
keys. We should probably go back to recap it again. This time we'll let it be
Yeah,
though.
I was about to say that recap was turning into another monologue,
Yeah.
another segue. Okay. Okay. I recapped the last one. You recap this one.
No, I'm not gonna. Okay, then I gotta remember what we talked
Okay.
about. No, okay.
No pressure.
First step.
No pressure.
Yeah. First step, identifying the vulnerabilities. Second step, voicing the vulnerabilities, and then allowing the people that are there for you to be there for you.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you could identify the team that you have around you and the people in that community that you have around you. Because if you want to be a leader, you have to have a community to lead, right?
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
That was it. That was good.
There we go.
All right.
I got it. Yeah, man. Knocked it down.
Yeah, we knocked it out. We were clean, pristine, mean machines on that one.
Right.
Okay. I guess now our big talk's kind of over. You can find us on.
Oh, yeah.
That was such a bad segue.
Yeah,
Okay,
fun. So,
we're not good at this about this awkward part.
No, this
okay,
is
you
the
go. You
weird
go ahead,
part.
Nas.
Like, subscribe,
This is the weird part.
follow, share, anything, find us on your podcast wherever you watch or see or listen to podcasts, YouTube, where you listen, Apple Podcasts, anywhere. Make sure you follow so we get notified when new episodes come, and
Yep.
make sure that you share it with as many people as possible. Let's get this conversation out there, started,
Yep.
keep it going with people, and like I said, men, women, everybody who has any interaction with men, period. There's value in this and having these conversations, right? So let's do it. Let's keep it going. Let's build this thing up.
Yep. And like we always say, vulnerability first.
Yeah.
Yep. The music's not fading in time. Oh, there you go. Okay.
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Maybe I'll have better timing for the music.
Yeah.